that we were charged with. One was to finish physically building a group home. And when we were there, it was painting and doing finish work. The second task was working with the children in the afternoons. And then there was a total of 10 of us. And so Monday, Wednesday, and Friday evenings, we were broken into groups of 2 from our team, and each group of 2 went to a group home to have supper with with those house parents, the kids in that group home, and just kind of get to know at least one group of children. And so we were spread out across 5 different group homes 3 of those nights. And so now these are the folks on the team, except Cassie Wenzel is not here today. And so we're going to let them share with you from their experiences what God taught them, how God stretched them, what surprised them, what they liked. And so we'll just start. If you will tell us your name and let us know if this is your first time to be on an overseas missions trip. And actually, I think I'm the only one that really applies to, but we'll see.
I'm Joe, the man, the myth, and the legend. This was my second time to be out of the country for a mission trip, my first time being in Mexico City. Some of the things I've noticed between Mexico and Costa Rica, the pace of life in Costa Rica is so much more laid back. Up in the mountains, it was just pretty much a constant temperature. It was just really beautiful. The facilities that we were at were really good, and we could just see how much the people who ran the Real Beata Bible Home really loved the kids, really invested in the kids. They had patience. They all the virtues and joys of the Spirit that we are commanded in the Bible to show, these people showed them. And these kids coming from rough backgrounds and from their lives, they had a place here that was a safe place, that they were going to accept them where they were at in their life, but they weren't going to leave them there. And that they were going to put them on the road to meeting Christ and being transformed. And I really enjoyed seeing that, and that spoke to me quite a bit.
Hi, my name is Desiree. I'm not going to cry this time. Well, my experience, I don't know if it was a little bit different. This was my second time going on an overseas mission for New Colony.
That's right.
Oh, I'm sorry. My experience, I've seen those widows before coming from a third world country. So I've seen these kids before outside the street asking for money. It always broken my heart to see that. So what impressed me when I got there was to actually see Robledo and to see what they're doing. Like Joe was mentioning, it's just they're taking these kids and they're putting them in an environment where they're actually building a foundation for these kids. And it's not like somebody's going to adopt you someday. They're in touch with their families. So to see something like that is actually reuniting the family and accepting them the way they are, knowing that some of them came from the streets, they're stealing, they're doing all these things. They're not being judged. They're just doing, they're in the family, which is something they don't have. So that was really impressive to me. My biggest challenge being there was the language. Believe it or not, and people are saying, oh, you were the only one that's really spoke Spanish as a first language. But I had to do a lot of praying when I was there, because after I said something, it was said. If I said something wrong and I hurt a kid, it was said. I couldn't take it back. I didn't have a filter, as opposed to people who got a translator. So I prayed a lot about that while I was there. And where did I go from here? This was a great experience. I think missions are always a great experience. I want to take this now and see how I can apply this to my country. how can I start helping kids in my country, which has always been a passion. So I started talking to my family. We're already in the plans of seeing how we can, okay, I'm gonna cry now. So, it's how we can see, because these kids are out there and they don't have somebody. So,
What country are you from?
I'm Dominican. Yeah, I'm Dominican. I'm not from Costa Rica. I'm gonna start now before I start crying. Okay.
You were amazing, Desiree, helping us with our Spanish, and your heart came through, so we definitely value you very highly. I'm Terry, and I've been to Amsterdam on missions before, but this was such a joy. I never thought would happen. With Cindy being down in Costa Rica, a lot of summers, we Skype with the families down there, and I could sort of sense what it was like. I could sort of sense what it was like in that house that she was in. And we made the curtains. You could sort of see the curtains last year that Nicole and I made for the particular house, and got to know a few of the kids. And then we started sponsoring kids down there. Kevin, who's now 15, it was a joy to meet him and the little girls. So to get off the bus there to see Cindy after 3 or more weeks, and then all these kids running up and just, wow, this is it. You know, trying to envision on the map. Like, I know it's on a hill and there are houses around, but how it's all situated. It was such a joy to see her, and then to see these kids that we've been praying for, and to only see sort of a wavy picture on Skype, but then to my experience in the houses, I went to where Cindy was. So it was a little different probably than the others who brought crafts, and Cindy was, when I got there, she was already at the table doing the lesson, keeping the kids in line, and just because, you know, the kids, they come from a tough area, and the discipline was beautiful, and the mother seeing the parents who we feel like we knew, but to actually get to know and hug them, and then to interact with the kids. It was incredible. And again, I had taken Spanish, but because I never had a chance to use it, I gave it up, and I went and studied German. And I used that as my major in college, and I got saved over there, and now I'm going to a Spanish-speaking country, so I had to resurrect the old Spanish. It was all right. It was all right. I could understand, but I couldn't speak too well. That's where Desiree came in, and Cindy. But it was such a joy to be with the team. And then the house we were working on, that kept us busy during the day, building our teamwork, just working together when things didn't go right. Maybe somebody will talk about, but yet we knew we were doing something lasting. And even more important, though, again, was our time with the kids, which God answered a prayer and gave us more time than probably we would have had with the little ones. It was a Monday, Wednesday, Friday night, but we also had a few great soccer games and baseball and some hockey. So it was really a life-changing time. We have hopes for the future, Cindy's deciding, but just to see her in her element, the love they had for her, and to partake of that a little bit was a huge joy.
This is my first time on a mission trip, and when I went to Costa Rica, I didn't really know what to expect, but after visiting the home and visiting the children, I really enjoyed getting to know them, and I realized that we had a lot of things in common, even though it was a third world country. When we first went to the home, it was hard to understand them because of the language barrier, but after dinner we went out to play and we started playing tag, and it was amazing because like we knew what they were doing, and even though we couldn't understand each other, we were playing tag. And yeah, it was good to know them, and I think I would want to go back there. It was a different experience, but at the same time it was very kind of similar to what people in America would do. So,
My name is Ella, and this is my second overseas mission trip. One thing that really stuck with me is that I found that, especially this was right after Super Summer, which for me was a month of spending time with kindergartners, and towards the end of Super Summer, I started to feel just really stressed out when I was around children. And that had honestly never been a problem for me. Like, if children are running around and screaming, didn't really affect me that much. I mean, certainly I didn't like it when they were running around and screaming, but all of a sudden I noticed that I would get anxious around that. And so when I went to Costa Rica and I had my house family, anyone on the team can attest that you could hear my house family all over that mountain. We were down the street from the house that the mission team was living in, and you could always hear those kids, no matter what time of day or night it was. And you know, just getting some time to really just play with the kids and have fun. Unlike Terry's home, our house mother was not very disciplined with the children. She certainly taught them right and wrong, but she had so much patience for these children who were screaming and running around and freaking out. There were 14 of them, and just seeing how incredibly patient that woman was, and seeing how she could just laugh and have so much joy when there was insanity all around her was really encouraging to me.
Hi, I'm Richard. This is my second mission trip. The first one was in 2010 to Kenya. I'm going to read you a few poems that I wrote. Zap, a few sparks, pins and needles trickle down my left arm. My right hand glides over my head. Oh no, I lost my hair. Oh wait, I shaved it. My eyes like camera lens, like binoculars trying to focus. The paintbrush moves in slow motion until the brush splats paint on the dusty floor. Sometimes in silence it all comes back in pictures already there. The color of rust over once was silver, now is a roof with holes. You can see the same image on a lake called Victoria. The color of rust, a leaf flows down the side of the street, takes a left turn until the leaf gets stuck by a faded glass bottle. The color of rust, there is homemade beans to eat. There is a muddy hole at the end of the waterfall. There is coffee beans to grind. The smell of varnish, I pick up the brush and paint again, because in silence there is beauty. Those pictures are not yet developed. Stinging pain like heartburn at night, soothing relief like rain clouds coming over the mountaintop. His kick cracked my knuckles on both hands for the next few days. His footwork fast and disciplined. His moves frustrate you, like trying to figure out missing pieces of a 1,000-piece puzzle. His long curly hair, bright smile and skinny legs, you just want to bury him in the mud and take a red card. That was a dream. You call out his name and hope the echo goes through the lime trees, the lush brushes, and the thin air.
My name is Lloyd Wenzel. This is my first mission trip anywhere, domestic or overseas. And this is not going to be a paid advertisement for the missions program, but an amazing experience. Not only an amazing group that we went with, but the whole Roble Alto area and the kids and the school. For me, I guess trust pretty much is a key word that keeps jumping out at me over and over again on this trip. First with the fundraising, I saw it as, well, first of all, I like to be in control of things, doing my tasks, and something as simple as fundraising. I dragged my feet because I hate asking people for money. I like to be in my own control of that. And one day God finally kind of sat me down and said, this isn't about you. This is about sharing the mission with as many people as possible. So as soon as I told people that I was doing this sort of mission trip, the support came in from places that I had no idea. actually, no word of a lie, from strangers that didn't even know me but heard of the trip and wanted to give. So, first example of trust. The second one comes chronologically after we toured the slums, use the word slums, of where these kids come from. It's a very crime-infested area, controlled by gangs. Our rep, Pam, was telling us, lock the doors, close the windows, don't look at anybody, don't make eye contact. One indiscriminate person fell. In the center of the van was allowed to take pictures, but she said pretty much we need to look around and then move, and we need to be in and out of there before everybody wakes up. Gives you an idea of the kind of place we were in. That's the same place, though, that these people are making a children's center. And we went from the neighborhood, we went from a street in the neighborhood where she told us to lock the windows and doors, and then all of a sudden, the van stopped and she flew the door open and said, okay, get out. Now that's funny, but not funny. We didn't have Mike with us, so, but to me, that was another example of trust, because she was saying, God told us to build a center right here. You will be safe here. And we did. We all got out, we all walked around the construction site, and people were starting to look out the windows, but I felt this overwhelming feeling of trust, that he put them there and he was showing us that and how safe it was going to be. And Pam was also explaining to us that the community is embracing it so much that the gangs are actually moving out of the area, which is just a blessing. And then the third example of trust is, as we all said, we had our own little host families that we visited. Well, I gotta tell you, after being there for a couple of days, we didn't have kids the first couple of days, and then Monday night was the first real night with kids. And Desiree and I were teamed up together. She was my filter, so I wouldn't misspeak. But these two little girls came to bring us back to their house, and all they talked was Spanish the whole time. And I thought, oh boy, I don't know a word of Spanish. Should have watched Dora. And as we're going up this long path that has to be the last house in the entire compound, and some of the older girls were outside, and I thought, oh, Desiree, this is not going to be good. I tugged on her shirt and I said, I'm just beside myself. I don't want to go in that house. And some of the older girls, like I just mentioned, were a little standoffish. You know, new visitors from America coming again, like probably group after group. Anyway, I quickly bowed my head and prayed before I got to that door. And I got to tell you, as soon as I walked through that door, everything was okay. I instantly, almost like Dina was saying, without words, ended up bonding with all the boys in the house. And by the end of the week and playing with all of them, they were all just, I had a great time with all of them. But the fact that they were using the language barrier as sort of a game, they would, I don't know if it was right or what, I don't know if they were telling me the right words, but they would tell me a word and see if I could say it back. But I ended up loving all those kids so much that the paperwork's in process to sponsor one of them, and this little kid, Randy, who was on the picture, it was just great. And that was just, that was just trust. That was just trust me, be still and know I'm God, everything's gonna be all right. So, great trip.
So we do have well, let me explain this first. We are a missions-minded church. And one of the ways that happens is it's built into our ministry budget. And so from the general offering, every week, 12% of that offering off the top before we pay the first bill goes to various missions kinds of work support. And 1% of that 12% we set aside for mission trips by people in our church. And so we have that where every week we're setting that aside. We support some other missionaries, and we support generally missions work in New England and in the United States and even globally. What we're sending in, we're supporting over 5,000 international missionaries. And so I'm grateful for a church that puts missions first. And our missions team, if you're on our missions team, would you stand up for just a second? Marcia is our chairperson. Who else is here from the missions team? I just want to say thank you. They have been such a wonderful support in coordinating a lot of the behind-the-scenes details of us going. I will tell you, I want to teach you something in Spanish. I learned this. I had 3 years of high school Spanish, a year of college, and I could speak at the level of a 3-year-old in their language. Sue says I do that in English too. But someone says, ¿Cómo está? How are you? And you want to say, I'm good. And so I would answer, Yo estoy bueno. Yo estoy bueno. Well, what I was really saying, tell what I was really saying. I thought I was saying, I'm good.
I'm really good looking.
I'm very handsome. No comments from the peanut gallery. The correct answer would be, Yo estoy bien. But the joke for the whole trip was, Yo estoy bueno. So we have a 4-minute video for you to see, and there's a couple of things to watch for in this video, and they don't know this, but caught on camera is a food thief. And so I want you to watch to see who the thief is that was stealing food. The second thing is there is a danger displayed in these pictures that we faced every single day. And see if you can identify that danger. I'll clue you in. And the third thing to watch for is, it was amazing to me that I came across one of the pictures I had shows an incredible family resemblance to somebody in our church. And so watch for that as we look at this 4-minute video.